are dangerous, especially when certain public officials are chest thumping that they have the so-called system and the deep state to manipulate the election. We are ready to work with the IEBC and friends to make sure that we deliver on a credible election. We expect that everybody who is concerned, including the EU, to try and get as much detail as possible, both from the IEBC and from these public officials, on what this all is about and how did close to 1 million names disappear from the register. And many of those names are people from what we consider our stronghold. So there is a clear attempt to try some monkey games. We don't believe they will succeed, but these attempts are a source of concern to Kenyans. So I think that's one issue I didn't raise. Let me allow the rest of my team to speak to. Let's start with Moses. Do you want to start?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Excellencies, good morning again. I start by just buttressing what our leader has said, that elections are not judged free and fair on the basis of the conduct on the day of voting. It's the entire process, the integrity of the voters' roll, the conduct of the electoral officials, the conduct of the state machinery responsible for security, and so on and so forth. I'm sure the EU has always been a close observer of our electoral process, and you can see and feel where things are not going right, and we expect to hear your voice. On the issue of refugees from Her Excellency, the Slovak ambassador, every country, in fact, indeed, humanity expects that we should not have refugees. That's the ideal situation. But Kenya has been a host to refugees from almost all our neighbors, except Tanzania, that has not given us any significant flow of refugees in our history. As it is today, conflicts in the region have been subsiding, and we have been encouraging refugees where they can find it possible to go back to their countries. Of course, under the UN and other international protocols, you can't force refugees to go back to where they ran away from. So we continue partnering with yourselves and others, and I want to appreciate, having been in foreign affairs for 10 years, the role your delegation and individual countries have contributed towards the management of the refugee situation in Kenya. And as a country, we have also passed a law that encourages some of the refugees to get integrated within our country and within neighboring countries where they would wish to go. So we'll continue doing that to see that we get to an ideal situation where no human being should be a refugee anywhere. If your question was indicating whether we are ready to take refugees from Ukraine conflict, like I've seen countries like Uganda, I think Rwanda and a few others have made an offer. If it wasn't, then I don't need to go that way. We are too far away from that conflict.
She said something about M-Pesa.
Did you?
Yes. So I was wondering where M-Pesa was coming.
She mentioned. So what did you say about M-Pesa?
Well, the thing is that, of course, for your countries, it's a win-win situation. Can you use the potential of the refugees and if they would like to integrate or you would like to integrate them. But currently, the situation is that they have some difficulties practically wise to do so into your society. One of them being, of course, having different conditions. They cannot, for example, use M-Pesa yet. In order to use the best of the digitalization, to have flying electronic money, in order to, whether you plan, this was just a specific example. My interest was whether you are planning to have something specific on the table within the strategy to integrate or make it easier for the refugees who would like to integrate.
I think on that score, we've just passed the refugee bill, yeah? So which actually provides the framework for integration. I don't know whether, does that answer your question to an extent? Because when was that passed?
Let me just say, I think...
And that, just before I pass on to Doyle, if he has something to say, we have a very comprehensive law on refugees that allows them to go through our schools up to university level and so on and so forth. But on the issue of M-Pesa, for example, even people at our level, if you don't have an identity, you cannot access the M-Pesa process. So it's something that we can engage in a conversation for you who help in financing refugee activities. If you find electronic money transfers an easier way of managing your resources, it is something that we can talk and as a government find what to do. On the Ukraine conflict, Kenya, since our independence, believes in the territorial integrity and independence of every country. There's no justification whatsoever, howsoever, for any country to invade another. And when such a situation occurs, again, we believe in the multilateralism of solving conflicts through, if it's in Africa, we have our AU Peace and Security Council. If it is outside Africa, we have the UN Security Council that needs to engage. But we also know that the Ukraine-Russia conflict is very complex. It has taken a lot of dimensions with almost throwing us back to the Cold War situation where you are either a friend of Russia and therefore supporting them regardless of what they are doing, or you are a friend of the Europeans and you support Ukraine regardless of what you feel. We as Kenya have always stood for territorial integrity, respect for every country and its independence. And that position has not changed, may not change, I believe. And we shall stand as Kenya Kwanza government, when we form government, for that respect of each country.
Thank you. I think that's done. Anne, can you speak to something about devolution? And,
Yes, before devolution, I wanted to just add the question of the IEBC and the integrity of...
why don't we allow what?
Sorry, the integrity of elections in the management. I was one of the people who presented my documents. I have already presented my nomination certificate, and I have been cleared. But I want to say that even the process of clearing, I put in the documents, and ordinarily, within 15, 20 minutes, you should be able to be cleared as long as all your documents are in order, because there is a checklist. But they took 3 hours to clear me. The people who had presented the day before, Your Excellency, and our good friends, took more than 10 hours. Those who had presented the day before were cleared the following day because there was system collapse or failure. And that is likely to be perpetuated for whatever reason. By now, we shouldn't be having such hitches, considering that transmission of the vote from the polling station is one of the critical aspects of a free and fair election. So I think these are the questions that we should be asking and following before we can put the question to us whether we shall accept the results of elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Proceed, Anne.
Thank you, Excellency, and good morning, Excellencies. I think I'll start by first, one of the things that maybe we didn't do when we were doing our introductory remarks is to appreciate the role the European Union has played, especially in the issue, helping this country deal with the issue of COVID, their contribution through COVAX.
You're right.
To providing vaccines to this country. I think outside of this government appreciates very much the role